Before I start this video, I have started a second channel called Shindo Ride, which is sort of my everything else channel. So everything that I make that is not earthquake related, it's now going there instead of that specific playlist in my channel. So go check that out, go subscribe. So now let's start with the first question, and this is a brilliant question. Why are you alive? Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, considering what I've done for the past year or two or so, it's, I guess, to make YouTube videos, so who knows what's life gonna throw at me in the future. How did you survive the earthquake? The earthquake wasn't big enough, which is actually a good thing because a big earthquake would actually be terrifying. So I mean, I've only experienced a magnitude 7 at most, but it was like a really far away, so a magnitude 6 or a magnitude 7. Somewhere in between, but it's a really far away, so the shaking here is weak and it did not cause any damage. What's the hardest video you've made? I'd say for now, if it's an earthquake early warning scenario video, then that has to be the Tohoku earthquake because there's just so much footage that you need to sync up. But overall, it has to be an explained video. Of course, all the explained videos are the hardest. Why Romania has so many earthquakes? That's pretty hard. Earthquake causes ground to pull 4Gs, 2008 Iwate Miyagi Nairiku earthquake. That's also pretty hard. However, from a budget standpoint, then all the videos that involve me going to Bogor, aka this destroyed the Indonesian presidential pass in 1834, that's the hardest because I actually have to travel to a different city. What city or exact location do you live in? Which school and what major do you study? Do you have something, other hobbies or things you like to do or interested in, or other personal things that can share? In short, you can introduce something else about yourself. Thanks. Well, as I said earlier, I have a second channel, Shindo Ride. Mainly it's just me riding buses and trains, so that's my other interest. Which city or exact location you live in, I don't fancy doxing myself live on the internet, so the most specific place I'm gonna say is Gading Serpong. Gading Serpong is a planned city in west of Jakarta. Which school and what major do you study? Okay, I'm not so comfortable telling me what university I go to, but then again, that's already leaked in my Instagram, so you can go check that if you want. But what major do I study? I study journalism. Do you have other hobbies or things you're interested in? I'm also interested in gaming. I mean, I play City Skylines, Minecraft, a lot of vehicle simulators, War Thunder. What's the strongest earthquake you ever felt in your life? Okay, if we're talking about magnitude, then it has to be the 2019 Banten or Sunda Strait earthquake. Magnitude 6.9, felt kind of strongly here. I mean, not strong enough to cause any damage, but it's felt by everyone. Strongest in terms of intensity would be the 2022 Banten earthquake. So unfortunately, there is no Wikipedia page because that quake didn't kill anyone. So fortunately, actually, that quake didn't kill anyone. But because that's a relatively big earthquake in not too far away, that one was felt pretty strongly. So pretty strongly is relative. I would still say it's Mercalli intensity 4 or something. Please also, I don't think it's a question, but please also give some explanations about the relationship between different earthquake magnitude scales and the relationship between MMI scale versus Shindo scale and some other relevant information. Thanks. Number 1. Explain why different sources can provide different magnitude data from the same earthquake. Example, MS 8.0 and MW 7.9 for the 2008 Sichuan earthquake, and explain how different magnitude scales work. Number 2, explain the MMI scale and Shindo scale are not exact one-to-one relationship like this, only very good rough estimates or approximation, and explain why it's best to estimate the MMI scale versus Shindo scale like this. And also the relationship between PGA periods and intensity. Oh dear, this is a whole video. I'm really thinking, should I make this like the same video as this and explain all that here, or should I just make a specific video for it? Okay, I'll try to answer as much as I can with the limited research I can do in this limited amount of time. So of course a future follow-up video will be done sooner or later. So in short, you have the Richter scale and the moment magnitude scale. The Richter scale was the first one invented, and it's accurate up to about magnitude 7 or so. So even then, these days, they only use it for earthquakes below magnitude 4. The reason for it is because the Richter scale is really good. It's like really specific for sort of small earthquakes, and it's like invented in Southern California. So it's very specific for that area and that low magnitude, shallow depth type of earthquake. These days, moment magnitude is most often used because it's simply more accurate for larger earthquakes. The difference between a magnitude 8 and a magnitude 9 earthquake, for example, is often the duration instead of the amplitude of shaking, which is a problem because the Richter scale depends on amplitude of the shaking. The problem here is that the increase in energy release doesn't necessarily cause an increase in amplitude, and that's roughly what causes the Richter scale to be inaccurate for larger earthquakes. Also, difference between MMIA scale versus Shindo scale. Of course, Shindo scale is made in Japan, and these countries have really robust seismic networks. So yeah, you can actually sort of pretty much measure the peak ground accelerations of pretty much everywhere in the whole country. Unfortunately, this same thing cannot be applied for other countries, which is why I guess most other countries use modified Mercalli intensity, which also takes into account damage instead of just the severity of ground shaking. That's the basic difference. Everything else is going to be answered in a future video. Here's a question for the Q&A. Are you ever going to do the 5.8 magnitude Illinois earthquake? Just wondering. Here's the thing. I never sort of say that I will never do an earthquake. I mean, as long as I'm doing this channel, and if I live long enough, eventually I will do that earthquake. The thing is, it's just, I'm sorry to say that it's a bit in a low priority right now because let's just say the backlog is just catastrophic right now. I mean, I've lowered my sort of amount of videos I'm uploading to once every 4 days upload instead of once every 3 days, but there are more requests than ever, so that's kind of a problem here. Not to mention that new earthquakes are constantly being made once every few weeks or so. So yeah, I will eventually do it, but I'm sorry, I cannot tell exactly when. Congratulations, my brother, for this achievement that you are doing every day. Greetings from Mexico. Thank you. Congrats. I have been watching the video of this channel for about 2.5 years. My question is, have you ever experienced a strong or violent earthquake? I'm interested since I have experienced a Shindo 6 minus magnitude 6.4 and a foreshock, of which was a Shindo 5 plus magnitude 5.8 in 2019 in Durrës, Albania, the city/province the earthquake hit. And again, congrats on this very impressive achievement. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Have I experienced a strong violent earthquake? No. All I've experienced are moderately sized, intermediate depth earthquakes that happen quite a fair distance away, so I've only experienced light shaking at most. What's your favorite subduction zone? Good question. This is also a very hard question. I've narrowed it down to a few candidates here. Number one, because of proximity, of course, the Sunda Megatrust, because if that goes off, I'm kind of done for. So there's a bit of morbid curiosity, a bit of proximity, which is why I'm sort of interested in that. Number two is the Makaran Trench. I mean, I made a video about it. I mean, that one is, that hasn't gone off, but if it does, it's going to be an absolute mess for two countries that aren't exactly the most earthquake prepared. And also in a place that people don't generally expect. People think subduction zones in the Middle East. Who knew that existed? When it comes to earthquakes, which country interests you the most? I mean, I know I'm biased, but Indonesia, because it has everything. It has subduction zones, it has strike slips, it has normal faulting, it has pretty much everything. Just because it's so big and it's like, and there's like a lot of places just smashed into here to create this country. What happens if the Strait of Gibraltar has a fault rupture? Again, that's a topic for a future video, but based on some observation, not gonna lie, this strait looks pretty steep. Like if there's an earthquake, underwater landslide, tsunami, even if the quake is on land. So that's one thing that definitely has a good chance of happening. Oh, and not to mention a lot of buildings are gonna collapse because, you know, old buildings, Spain. I mean, you've seen what happened in the Lorca earthquake of 2011. A lot of I think a church actually was severely damaged or collapsed there. So yeah, a tsunami and a lot of old buildings are gonna collapse. In short, that. But the long answer will be in a future video, which I don't really know when it's going to come out. Congrats, thank you. Q&A question, what's your favorite video on this channel? Okay. Favorite video is also the hardest video then. I mean, the video that you put the most effort into, it's probably the one that you're gonna like the most too. Let's see. I mean, the hardest ones are the explained videos. So yeah, I'd probably say the video titled "Nobody Knows About This and It Could Kill Hundreds of Thousands of People," aka the Makaran Trench. And I think how to make realistic tsunamis in cities skyline, that's also one of my favorites too. If I had to choose, I'll still choose the Macron French, but yeah, it's pretty fun making a hybrid between a science and a gaming video as well. If I could ask, what are you going to make in the next video? Well, this Q&A video, and after that, probably the recent earthquakes in Maluku and Ferndale, California. Hi, can you make the magnitude 3.3 Beirut explosion earthquake? Sure, and so again, like the previous guy who also requested an earthquake, I cannot guarantee when. Especially because this is an explosion, most of the damage is actually caused by the shockwave and not the vibration of the explosion. So that's gonna be a hard one. Congrats, I don't know what to ask though. And awesome new channel, thank you. How's life? Life's fine. I mean, I don't really have anything to complain about for now, especially it's the holidays. So who knows what the fourth semester of my university is gonna bring.